And hello, Benjies. Welcome to the BingeWorthy podcast, part of the Geekish Network. My name is Johnny Randolph, or you can just call me Randy, and I am a speaker, a trainer, and a podcaster. And I have three outstanding co-hosts. My first co-host, well, this young lady, she is an actress, she's a writer, she's a director. I just call her a flat out superstar. Miss Courtney Scott Wright. Say hello to the people.
Hello, hello.
And my next co-host, my guy, he's a technologist, he's a game designer, he's a serial entrepreneur. He is part owner of the Geekish Network, Chuck. So what's up to the people, man?
What it do?
And this next guy, he too is a technologist. He's an orator. He's an educator. He's just one super dope, fly ass dude. New from the VO, Rakai. Say what's up to the people, man.
Hello, Governor.
Hello, Puppet.
Spotter too.
Nice.
Over here.
We are the BingeWorthy podcast. What's going on, everybody? How y'all doing?
Great.
Pretty good.
What's up, man? Doing well.
Good. Tonight, we are talking about The Witcher Blood Origin. The premise of our show is that each week we binge watch a television series. And then at the beginning of our show, we will rate that series based on our unique binge-worthy scale. Then later on, we engage in conversation. We talk about everything, from the characters to the acting, to the plots, to the design, the full spectrum of whatever property it is that we are viewing. And then at the end, we re-rate it. We re-rate it, and sometimes our co-host, my illustrious co-host, can influence us to change that rating. They might influence us to lift it up or drag it all the way down to low. And speaking of our binge-worthy scale, it is as followed. At a number 5 is what we call a full binge out. This means this property is outstanding. At a number 4, we call it a full meal. A full meal is not quite a full binge out, but definitely worth your time to invest in watching this property. At a number 3, we call that a mini meal. A mini meal isn't bad. It's just not good either. It's kind of, Courtney says it's a bland ass TV dinner. And I say without all that Irish seasoning just sprinkled in there. At a number 2, it's what we call a snack. It's an old bag of Cheetos up in the cabinet that you go get because you're too lazy to go out and get anything else. And at a number 1, we call that a cringe-worthy, meaning this is just some old bullshit. So now we are going to rate it, and I'm going to start with Chuck. How are you going to rate Witcher Blood Origin?
See, Blood Origin stands out to me because it's the origin tale. And I'm not one fond of prequels per se. 'Cause I think a lot of stories we don't need. The story I have in my imagination is worth more in its salt than what they put on screen. Because screen at the time, it suffers from budgets and actually the direction of establishing a world that's already established. Like you gave me the show and you established that world, and it's straight up I know what that world means. Then you kind of redo it again, but differently with different characters or the same characters at a younger point in their lives and their journeys. And this is what this was. I didn't need this as the Witcher origin story. They could have made it a story of other Witchers somewhere else. If I That would have been better for me. But I'm gonna give it. I'm gonna start out with this a mini meal.
A mini meal? Okay.
Get a mini meal. I
All
mean,
right.
Michelle Yeoh carried the show on her back, and I want to give it a full meal because it's her, and she's like the goddess of acting right now.
Okay. So you're giving
Right
it a
now,
mini meal?
mini meal.
All right. Rakai, bro, how are you gonna rate it?
Netflix weak attempt at a Lord of the Rings.
Jeez.
Mm. I'm gonna have to go with a mini meal.
Okay.
I didn't think it was terrible. It had some terrible parts, some real lack of guidance, pace, writing. Again, Michelle Yeoh is a goddess. She's right. I can't think of anything she's done wrong. Um, and she was fantastic in this. But at the same time, this wasn't great. Set 1,200 years before the Witcher that we know and we love. I don't know. I wanted to like this. I mean, they at least gave us a break by only giving us 4 episodes, so I didn't have to suffer through 8 or 10 episodes to, at
Oh,
least it
was
was
it only 4? I thought it was like 6.
I
Was
was
it
right.
4? It just felt like 6.
yeah. Felt like he was like, when is this gonna be over? Um, yeah, so just a mini meal for me.
All right. So I am going to jump in here. I am going to have to disagree with my illustrious co-host. I enjoyed the whole universe of The Witcher since the first one. And while I can't say that we needed all of them, the animated versions and all of those, and I don't even know if we needed a prequel, I was glad that they got it. I like living in this universe. I think it's fun, it's fast paced, it's action. I also like how they explain magic. They don't call it magic, not to my recollection. They call it chaos. So the people who can use it, they manage chaos. I think that's dope. It's a natural, it's steeped in nature. So for everything that you receive from it, you've got to give something up to receive it. And I like that idea. I have fun with all of these seasons, this entire universe. I don't think it nearly rises to the level of a full binge out, but I enjoyed it as a part of this whole story, and I want to read some of the book. So I'm going to come in and give it a full meal. So for me, I'm happy for it. And I'm going to turn it over to you to Courtney to bring us on home.
Well, so you guys all make fun of me and my little treats or what have you. And I'm like, listen, I can't really say I don't really know. So I'm gonna have to agree with a certain group. And I have here a mini meal. It's not a whole sandwich, but it is a mini meal. I do have some chips here that I could, partake in to go with my mini meal. I just feel like I like it, like I said earlier, I like a good prequel as long as it's earned. As long as you can show me why I need this information that you have for me. And I would really like to be able to invest in these characters in a way. And I have to say, I did enjoy the lead actress, even though I forgot her name, the black woman.
Ellie.
Was that her name?
Ellie is the character. Sophie Brown is the actress.
Right, Ellie. So I enjoyed her. She reminded me of honestly, she's everything I wished Lady Loki had been. Everything Sophie wanted to be in Loki the TV series, like with her knives and just the way that she battled. Like she was fierce, you know. Like I really liked her, and I really enjoyed Michelle Yeoh. The problem for me became in the concept of how they created the Witcher, the first Witcher. You know, essentially they're explaining to you Ciri's, or Princess Cirilla's background. They're explaining to you her family line and how she is essentially a Witcher, just not in the traditional sense of one that was created like Geralt. And I just felt like it really wasn't rooted enough for me. I don't know what else I needed, but I needed more. I think the villain was a little like underwhelming, because like her reasoning didn't hold water. You know what I'm saying? Like, okay, so you're the princess and I get it. You don't want to be sold into marriage, but I mean, I don't know. She was kind of basic. So yeah, I was just kind of like in the middle. Like it wasn't quite, it was somewhere in between mini meal and full meal, because I did think that the actors did a really solid job, with the exception of the villainess and the terrible mage man who like created the convergence. Like it was just odd, the whole thing. I don't know. What was it?
Okay. What you got? So you going with mini meal?
I'm going with mini meal. Got my little half a sandwich. I don't have a whole one.
So that gives us a 3.25. So that's right at a mini meal. All right. So let's talk about this. And I'm going to start with you, Chuck. How did you feel that The Witcher Blood Origin, how it stacked up against the other versions of The Witcher that we've had?
I thought the other versions were better. Granted, this is only 4 episodes. And I looked at it. I was like, so this was supposed to be 2 movies or a movie, and they turned it into 4 episodes. And I think I don't know what I wanted it to be like, come out with a bang. I think in order to be a prequel, you had to come really, really hard. You had to come harder than an original. You have to show me better action. You have to give me a decent story that equates to, if not better than the original, and give me a reason why I needed this story in the first place. But that's what I thought. I love the Witcher universe. I like the concept of creating the first Witcher and how they created the first Witcher, what we think assumed led to the creation of the first Witcher. But I'm like, did I really need this story? Did I need to know this story in particular? Was this important to me? I don't think so.
Okay. Courtney, I see you were raising your hand. What's going on?
Yeah, you know why I think the reason that I was personally underwhelmed isn't because it didn't, I guess I can't say it didn't hold up. It to like at least season, whatever the last one was. Was that season 3 or season 2? What did we watch? Season 2. Season 2. We haven't had season 3 yet, because season 3 is coming out and then season 4 is with Liam Hemsworth.
Yeah.
So season 2. So season 2 for The Witcher was a little weak for me, and this basically kind of was like on par with that. But the cool thing, or that I think I should say cool thing, the thing that I was hoping for, is that you were at least going to be, if not as good or better as the animated prequel. Because the animated prequel, the what is it, the Way of the Wolf or whatever it was,
Nightmare of the Wolf.
the Nightmare, that was amazing.
That
They
was
came
great.
with that. You know what I'm saying? Like, and that was a movie, and it was so solid. It explained Vesemir. I had such a connection to him. So when we met him in the Witcher series, I knew exactly who he was, and I was connected to each and every one of those Witcher men who I knew as young boys. You know what I'm saying? Like if you can't come with it after an animated series, like what are you doing? Okay. So I just, yeah, that was something that really kind of was going against Blood Origin.
And I'm glad that you said that, Courtney, because I was about to say the exact same thing. Like to see the origin of the real Witchers that we come to know in season 1 and 2 of the show, and you got to see the young Vesemir. You got to see Declan, who Geralt talks about all the time or whatever, and see how that all came to be. That was super interesting. And I think what lost me on this particular series, Blood Origin, was that on the moments that they should have really honed in on and hit, they didn't. Like if the big payoff was that there's a schism at the end, because the Balor, the little black mage, he opens up, he uses chaos and opens up the portals or whatever, and now you have humans in the world, now you have monsters in the world. Show me something with that. It's like you saved that for the last 2 minutes of the damn show. That is still 1,200 years prior to the show that we know. You did nothing with that. Like that should have been almost a whole episode to itself.
So was 4 episodes sufficient to tell this story, or should they have just made better choices in the time that they had? Start with you, Ricardo.
I want to say better choices, because that's almost like a double-edged sword. To say, was it sufficient? That would almost suggest that I wanted more, and I don't. Don't give me any more. I don't want any more. But with the 4, you had 4 hours of my time. Of that 4 hours, what did you do with it? There's a lot that I agree wholeheartedly. The Empress was basic. The chick was basic. She didn't want to get married off. So the first thing she did, she screwed her guard to get rid of him, because he's like considered the most fierce guard in the land. So she screwed him to get rid of him so her plan could come to
I didn't even pick up on that part until just now when you said that.
Yeah.
I didn't even get that part.
On him hard and heavy and made him violate his vows, you know what I'm saying, to get rid of him, because she'd have never been able to pull off that plan with him there. But then the first thing she did was slit his sister's throat from behind.
Yep.
And that was the last tough girl thing that she did. Because after that, she got handled by Balor and the other little wimpy dude. She got handled by them. Hey, little girl, we know you're the Empress, but we put you there as a figurehead. You go sit down and let the big boys do all the heavy lifting. Like, get out of here with that.
They basically just did to her exactly what her brother did. You killed your own brother.
And all of his protection and all of your people.
And you killed his sister. Like he wasn't gonna come back because you killed his sister and his daddy. You killed his whole family.
Mm-hmm. And so with her doing that, she had nobody actually looking out for her. She killed all the people who would look out for her and made herself a prisoner in her own castle. And I thought that was a big problem with the series. The motivation mage, for her action.
The young mage that she got to join her cause.
I don't know. I think she made bad choices from step one.
That is a trouble with the motivation for it, and that was a problem. That's one of the reasons I didn't go higher. It was like her motivations were weak. It was weak, and then
her executions were weak. Her executions were weak. It's like if this is your master plan, you needed more time to think about it. But as a writer, and maybe I was just slow. Maybe I just didn't care or wasn't because usually I pick up on stuff like that. It didn't even dawn on me that's what she was doing. That's why she got rid of him until this very moment when Rakai said it, and I was like, oh. Is that what it was? Is that because I couldn't figure it out? And I didn't really try. I didn't really try,
and you
to be honest.
Up to it because of the dialogue that they gave her through the rest of it. It's almost like she believed she was sipping the Kool-Aid and she believed what she was saying. Oh no, we're gonna make this a better world. No, I needed her to go straight evil. If you're gonna
do it, go hard.
I need you to go straight. Yes, go hard.
Or be crazy.
Yeah.
Either be diabolical, or I need you to be crazy.
She's sitting in her room, you know what I'm saying? A peasant boy from the kitchen that almost killed her because we're starving. And what do you mean there's a famine? People are starving. I didn't know. We're making a better world. Knock it
That's
off.
why I was
You're
confused.
gonna
I was like, what do you want to do?
all these countries at the beginning of this thing, and now you in your room scared. You don't know what's going on. Like,
I just thought she was, yeah, I just thought she was weak. That was it. And she wasn't a villain that you could like. Like, you can like a villain. She was just so weak. You was like,
She was just,
this is not
The
going to
thing
work.
is, all of them were
uninteresting.
weak. Like the little black mage Balor, he was weak because he wanted to be in control, and so his whole problem was, they're never gonna let me be in control. I'm not gonna be in control because I'm lowborn.
But
So
I have two questions,
I,
or
I,
no,
I
not
can't
questions.
stand him because you know what I'm saying. He's barking out orders to other people. Well, go get it done. I'm going back to the bath. I'm going back to the sauna. To not get my locks wet.
But
Boy,
here's another question, or I do have a question. In terms of like the guy who was the mage brother to the blonde mage in the swamps,
Mhm.
how did he get out? Okay, was he like psychically out, or like, because he was in prison, but like Baylor had him in prison, and then all of a sudden he was out. I thought he was like astral plane walking to go and see her, and then he was secretly still in prison, but he
Oh,
wasn't. He was like
I
physically,
didn't
he was
think
like
that.
really there.
I don't think they explained it. They just
They
I
didn't.
think he said like one line to explain how he got out. Like he had to get out. He escaped somehow. But it's like it was the weakest thing. Is like
But they had iron all over the wall,
well,
so
because
he couldn't use
he
his
said
mage
they
magic.
built it
Lock
for
his
him to
mouth.
stop mages, but they never
Right.
did provide a really good explanation of how he got out.
Exactly, that was a hole. And then in answer to your question that you asked, Randy, or Randy, you said, do you think that they need more time, or did they just not? Did they have enough and didn't execute it well? I think they could have used one more episode, and the reason being, going back to what Rakai said about you dropped in after the convergence, you're explaining to me how humans came to be in the elven realms. Okay, you've explained that to me. First of all, I only saw 3 humans drop in, and now all of a sudden you got current day Witcher is overrun by humans, and the elves have all been killed. Because how? Like this, you had like at least 5 clans of elves, and you mean to tell me these people, whether or not they had magic or chaos or what have you, because it seemed to me like they had regular magic, but then this other Baylor, when he went to the dark plane, he discovered chaos magic, which was more intense than regular magic. And so that says to me, hey, that's a little confusing and not clear enough, not enough exposition on that aspect. But how did the humans overtake the elves who have magic?
I don't think it was just humans. I think it was humans and creatures. So it was not only humans dropped through, but more creatures were in.
Everything came through that portal, like everything, and so they just kind of overwhelmed them.
It's like the gates of hell opened up, and humans were in hell.
Right.
They brought all the creatures and demons with them, and they killed everything.
Sounds about right.
Yeah.
And they learned how to
Okay.
manage chaos better than the elves did, because really only Baylor had kind of dabbled in that, and sort of humans, they came in and got better at it than elves did, and so
Yeah, because they're.
and then we got and this is the thing, like it's a prequel, but it's like 1,200 years. A lot of time is between when this series started to current day The Witcher that we had. So it's a whole lot of shit that happened that we
And then to add insult to it, so they tied the little mage that the empress that she picked. They throw him in at the end to show that one scene from the first season of Witcher where the little girl looks back.
Siri.
Dude, like so he didn't figure out how to time travel. Like
or
what?
he just lived. We don't know. They didn't provide.
We don't know, because technically in the Witcher show, that was Geralt standing there that she was looking at. So they've used that scene twice.
Yeah, so yeah, we just don't know how he made it. And they did say, "Oh, time travel." No, I don't think it was, but we just don't know.
Well, but that's what they were talking about, and open up to going to different worlds, and they were talking about time travel. So he kept saying some stuff about that, but I mean, who knows? It's just they try to leave it like open ended at the end, but it's like they didn't give us enough. I mean, I understand where Courtney said it's another episode, but
probably.
And do they have, and this is based on the book. So I don't know if it was based on just this one or a series of books. So we potentially have more story to be told with this. This is just the beginning of it. And
I
kind
don't
of
think this is based on this. This not based on any of the books.
yeah, it's based on the book.
Yeah, I think it's
This
best.
story is.
Well, I'm not sure, but I read it was based on the book. It was based on
Well, I actually read in a story today, as a matter of fact, that you know, all the controversy surrounding Henry Cavill about, you know, he was fired, he left the show or whatever, he left to, you know, go play Superman again. Um, and then the showrunner said, I didn't let him go because he was this, he was that. Supposedly he walked away from the show, like kind of mutually walked away from the show. He said because when he took the show, he signed on to the show before anything for 7 seasons. He signed on for 7 seasons. Um, and he had one caveat that he was such a fan of the writer and he's read all the books. He said that their source material, the show had to stay as true as possible to the source material. And so he'd been fighting with the writers for the last couple of years when they deviate from the source material and they just doing stuff. And he's like, it's disrespectful to. He said he wrote some great stuff here. I mean, you know, he acted like he was fighting against M. Night Shyamalan in there, but
So, and
That's
Grezzo
interesting.
Bukowski novels. That's what this is based on.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So yeah, this is what it's based on.
Maybe
Chuck, I did
based-
want to
but not it may be made loosely based on the novels.
yeah, it could have been, but it is the prequel, yeah, to the
Well, I mean, the first season was, you know, the first season was pretty good. It was not that far off the first novel.
It was really good.
The last season, I don't know what they was going for. You know,
Last season was trash.
yeah.
So Chuck,
And then
let's
the
jump into
upcoming season is his last one. So
Yeah.
last week with Willow, you talked about production design and those types of things. So how did you feel about the production and virtual design for this series?
I felt it was actually I feel like it was like a budget version of it. Like they gutted the production's budget on this. I mean, some things look okay, but a lot of things like the kind of plastic look kind of fake. And they only had limited number of creatures in this. And then when you looked at the sets were very barren. There was nothing illustrious about the sets. You know, Witcher doesn't have a lot of illustrious sets, but even when they're walking in wilderness, the nature, you feel like nature was alive and dangerous around them. In this, I didn't.
what?
And they invested in the creatures. The creatures, more than anything in the Witcher series, has been pivotal to telling their story because the Witcher is literally a monster killer.
Yeah.
So
I thought the monsters looked horrible in this.
Hunter.
the monsters were it was a basic ass dragon.
Yeah, especially the boss monster at the end. I was like, that is
Yeah, it's like, right. Is this supposed to be y'all best? Like, nah, this not.
I mean, and even the one that he turned into, like, he basically turned into Bane. And I was like, okay. You know what I mean? Like,
it wasn't solid.
somebody just kill him. I was like, what? And you first of all, you banged him like as pre-Bane. And like, I'm real confused. Like,
I think I did today too, because like if their child is the line that leads to the little girl that's, you know, now she's special or whatever.
mm-hmm.
How? Because didn't she smash him pre him
she
having all
smashed him
the
after.
juice?
After.
But was he
Mm.
was he fully converted? I guess it had taken over.
I mean,
Well,
he
he had all the
he had the
all the
steroids.
magic.
He had all the juice in him.
He had all the magic juice. He just hadn't like turned completely.
Chuck, I can't hear you.
Then he hadn't turned completely, and then he couldn't turn back for some reason. I'm like, why couldn't he turn back?
I didn't think the goal was for them to turn back. I thought they were expecting for either one of them to die because she was going to do it at first, and he did it instead of her. I thought
they have to give us a contrast between the normal Witcher series where, you know, Geralt has some control over what he does. I mean, this is the first iteration, the first time that they ever even tried to make a creature, you know, half monster, half man. So of course he wasn't gonna have any control, and he wasn't gonna be able to come back. You know,
That was
pretty
the way
much
Basically, he was
he
the
was
Hulk.
playing
love.
out.
Oh, you know,
He
made
was
it.
the Hulk Bane
And you gotta think,
or
Gerard,
Abomination. He was Abomination.
but he was the first version. They took his blood and make the newer versions of this as well. So they like when the
Mm,
next Witcher comes, they probably take that one and make the seeds and all the plants. They do all that with it. But
well,
I
they
think
do it. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I think it happens off this first one. So the first one is like the pure blood, and then they make deviant bloods off the first one, the plant.
I think it's the same spell. I don't think they have his blood other because nobody even knew about Ciri's bloodline. Because remember, like, the Queen of Centra, what was her name? Calanthe. Calanthe.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Calanthe hid it. She hid it that was in her line because, like, the black girl was from Zenthia, which becomes then Centra.
Mm-hmm.
And then Centra like hides the line of the king, the royal line, as from that baby that she had. I just think that they use the monster blood and then the chaos magic and all that, and they just do it with a human. And I think that's why the humans have more control over it per se than like what they had the raw magic back then.
I thought they used the Witcher's blood when the Witcher bleeds and it turns into the flower plant. Then they use that blood to make future Witcher.
Yeah, I thought they were a mutation. Witches are a mutations. That's what they kept referring to them in the first season. So I just thought they made them in some sort of way.
And you do that.
Yeah.
Like you see the plant is because the Witcher bled over there, so you can grab it. So I think that's what the baby is. The first baby is the blood, wherever blood he leaves or wherever they use. Then they
can make it, and then they started killing off witchers, and it was hard to reproduce them and make them again at the same clip.
And then in
the animated series they blew it up.
Right, they blew it up.
They killed the mages who knew how to do the spell to kill them.
Yeah. Like it's not an easy process, I think, to make a witcher. And then if they start dying and you're getting the mages killed, it's like we can't reproduce them at the rate that they're dying.
Yeah.
So that's why it was so important to take Ciri's blood, because now they have the original line.
That's how I interpret it. Yeah.
Not only that, I would imagine that because especially since they were giving it to little kids or whatever to turn them.
Prepubescent kids.
Yeah, I would imagine that not all kids survive the transformation. Like,
we know they don't. We know they
absolutely don't.
They don't survive the transformation or the training.
Animated series,
or the training. So it's hard, right? It's hard to survive. It's hard to make it as the training, and then you get killed. So it's like, damn, how do we refurnish these?
And then you get through all that, and then you get killed by the first monster you go up against.
Right.
Right. But you know what else upset me was that we have spent in season 2, Tess Marigold was so creeped out when she went on that walkabout with Ciri in her mind, and she saw the prophecy from the original seer, the Ismene or whatever the woman's name was. So then to see this girl who is the seer in this blood origin, and she's this basic little girl who just looks touched and special. I expected somebody regal. I expected Galadriel, because the way that they produced her in season 2, she was badass. She was terrifying. But and her prophecy was like deep, and so then I see this little basic girl. I'm like, ew.
Yeah, but that's not exactly who I would imagine her to be, because she's got this power that she doesn't know what to do with. It's scaring everybody off, so she's going to be an outcast. So I imagine that's exactly who she was as a kid, and she grew into be the person that we saw.
Yeah.
You gave them a lot of license. You imagined a lot for them.
I would imagine.
But you imagined a lot for them. That's what I'm saying. Like, I just don't have the bandwidth to imagine. I wanted them to do it for me.
Like, I mean, we see that in everything. That like the X-Men, the kids they're orphans and they're left alone and they have no powers and they're outcasts and everything. And then they grow into their powers and who they are.
You're looking at the Fox children. The Fox, the what's his name? That singer who created those Jeff, we can't hear you.
Man, that's even
those are the basic ass children X-Men. I'm looking at the animated series children X-Men, and they were badass. I'm like, But
Yeah.
Jubilee, who can't do anything but make fireworks, she was
And
dope as hell.
Jubilee, in Iterations of Jubilee, she was an orphan that ran away at the mansion and had to learn her powers. That's a
True.
common trope that we have for like people that are unique and special. So that was just my interpretation of it. So she was who I imagined she would be.
I just didn't see that child growing up to become this amazing witch seer.
Luke was a little farm boy, and he grew up to be the most powerful Jedi in the universe.
But Luke still was engaging. Like I can see Luke becoming that, as opposed to, I'm sorry, that's just me. I'm like, I needed a better storyline.
I think she was what I expected her to be, like the outcast and beaten.
She could be outcast. I just didn't want her to be touched.
Then I'm badass. Eventually, I'm badass. I was by myself and I was alone. You know.
The thing is, again, where they gave us, they didn't give us enough. They didn't give us a glimpse of it, because like even at the end when the Lark went back and was hanging out with her, and you seen, this girl had more confidence about herself and all this type of shit. It's like they didn't give us enough to really see us on the path to being what she eventually became.
I mean, like I said, I compare it to DMX. DMX's whole career, he talked about being lonely, and growing up in group homes, being orphaned, and had nothing but dogs, and he became the world's biggest rapper. It didn't take me much to see how that happened and how he became who he was. Because
Yeah, but okay, but if we're taking DMX, what we saw in this show was we saw the show. We saw a little boy who's an orphan. He ain't even got a tattoo. He ain't got no muscles. He don't really like dogs that much. And then I'm supposed to, assume that he becomes DMX and he's out here barking and shit.
But we don't assume, right? We just know it. Like we know what they were, and then this is what they kept.
You don't even like dogs. He ain't got one tattoo. What's wrong with you? Stupid.
This is exactly I think what happened makes no sense to me. Like, let me fend for myself, and I became the man fending for myself. We see that movie in every gangster movie.
Everything, right? We see it in every genre.
Drake's career is this story.
If we're gonna talk about a little girl who wasn't a little girl, let's talk about the one who they didn't do nothing with her character. What's her name? Marduk or whatever, the damn little dwarf woman.
Yeah, they did nothing with her character.
They didn't do nothing with her character. And when she first came on the screen, she was badass.
She was.
Talking
she
to
was
her
dope
damn
as hell. Talking to her
dude,
ex.
She told that dude, "Hey, I'm looking for this elf who be fucking over little dwarf girls. He in her. He in her. I hate your guys. Get the hell out of here." She's like, "Oh, okay." She came in a wreck shop. She came out through a little cubby hole out the back, covered in blood, smoking a pipe.
Talking to her daggone ex.
Yeah,
this is what I'm talking about. You can't have me like
that shit right there.
You showed me that you can write. You showed me that you can create a character, that this is her origin story, that is so incredible, that is magic. You know what I mean? Like I was invested in her. I was invested in her like success, and then cut to, did she just wanted a fellowship that we forgot about?
Yeah,
she just Gimli
on a walk. Like the rest of the dwarves. What do dwarves do and hobbits do well? They walk. What do the Brownings do? They walk. They're good at walking. She went walking. She got what she wanted. She got revenge, and her story was over with.
That's some bullshit.
Yeah, she was the only one that interesting. I wanted her to become the Witcher.
We all wanted her to become.
What about the other guy? What about the other guy who was with them? Callan, the brother Death, whatever his name was.
The one that lost his eyeball?
Lost his eyeball and died, yeah.
Did he die? He didn't die. They brought him back.
Did they?
The girl's little boyfriend. No, they brought him back.
Oh,
he was walking around with one eye.
One eye.
Okay. Did we feel like he had enough screen time? Because I thought he was underused. Or did what we saw of him was enough?
They had, what was it, 7 of them? I mean, really?
Yeah, there was the first 2, the couple, Michelle Yeoh, the one-eyed dude, the mage girl in the swamp, and her mage brother, and then the dwarf. So yeah, there were 7.
Yeah, it was just too many.
Those two. The one who died was the mage's brother. The mage brother, he died. He's the one that like got blown up when the tower blew up.
Yeah, he sacrificed himself.
He sacrificed himself
to make
but
up.
the one little dude who is stuck in the Dominion place, he's one of the 4 horsemen that we saw in season 2 that Geralt and Ciri and Yennefer saw on the other side.
Yeah,
he's one of the 4 horsemen.
I saw they try to do these little Easter egg things and try to, pull it back, but it wasn't enough. And then you had an interesting character in the dwarf woman, and you didn't do anything with her. You got
even
Michelle
Yeoh's storyline was dope. Like, she's trying to get her family's axe back. They murdered her entire family, and all she wanted to do was get her sword. She's like, all she wanted to do was get her clan sword. And I was more invested in whether or not she got that daggone sword than anybody turning into the Witcher.
But
were you
that was a ploy? Because
were you surprised? Did you think she had really turned?
I didn't.
No.
Yeah, I didn't either. I don't know why I didn't believe it to begin with, but I never thought that she turned.
I wanted it to be true, just to give it something to do. I wanted it to be true.
I loved that it was clever how she pulled it off, how she had them pay for the swords for the mercenaries who was gonna come fight them. I was like, well, that's smart.
Yeah, I thought that was just her intention the whole time. It was like, we need, because she said it's going to be hard for us to go in here without an army, without any sales swords. So her goal was like, I'm going to go to them. They'll think I want the sword back. I'll get them to pay for the sales swords, and then that's when we'll start our attack.
She did want the sword.
That's what I'm talking about. So
she did want the sword. Like, that was
I didn't think I didn't think it was her plan.
But
it was always a part of it. I think she intended to take that sword, regardless of, it was a ploy essentially, but she definitely wanted it.
I think when Ellie said, if she doesn't kill me when she first sees me or whatever, blah blah blah. The thing is, there was never enough there. There wasn't enough meat on that bone for us to believe that she's just gonna up and betray them.
Yeah.
Especially after they went, went through all the, they saved her life.
Yeah.
And here's how I pay them back. I'm betrayed.
Fuck them over.
It's like,
I'm really smart.
I never believed that shit to begin with. And if I can't believe it, it's just
even when Michelle Yeoh is Giorgio, like, she's never really a complete villain. I actually would love to see her play a role where she is the dope ass villain. I want to see her be 100% villainous.
Yeah.
I've never seen it, and I want to see it.
So maybe we needed more build-in than that, because to me it was never a thought where I thought, she's about to betray.
She's really betraying them.
No,
there was no conflict between them.
Right?
No, not really.
These things, and she concocted the plan. I can't tell you because you're a bunch of idiots. I can go ahead and do this plan, and it's going to work for us.
And her character, as smart as she was, I never thought she would ever forgive them for killing her family to get the sword back. I mean, I don't mind that she wanted to get the sword, but like, she's never, ever going to forgive them. There's always going to be some sort of ploy of revenge in her until they are dead.
Yeah,
I never saw it any other way.
The weak dialogue between her and the Empress, like, to me, the Empress didn't have enough juice to even have that conversation with Michelle Yeoh.
Yeah. Yeah. She was just a horrible villain. It was like, no point did I ever think she would beat Michelle Yeoh's character.
She was a weak foil. She was a weak foil.
Yeah.
Like,
not only that, it's like, your sword of your family you've been looking for all this time, it's right over there, but I think I'm gonna double cross you. I don't think I'm gonna give it to you.
Yep.
I mean, if you're gonna, here's what I look at when I see like an Empress or a sorceress villain. If you are not as good or better than Helena Bonham Carter as Bellatrix Lestrange, then just go home. Just go home.
Yeah, because she was out.
Because that should be everybody's every actor's goal is to be better than Bellatrix Lestrange. Because if you can't do that, just sit down.
Mhm.
Sit down. Because that bitch was bad. I was rooting for her crazy ass.
Yeah. The Sun said the best believable character was the dwarf lady.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, dwarf was like the best character, period.
Hands down.
Yeah,
Writers,
and it's kind of like you just said, Courtney. It's just like, from all the years, every kung fu martial arts movie I've ever watched, these assassins or whatever, they try to do their thing and they have to kill the emperor or whatever. But when they get to him, he ain't no easy win. He is out here whooping ass.
Yeah.
Like, you know, the emperor might be the baddest dude in the land, and there's one
years
one
was
you
the
know
she was the Manchurian. She was the same as the Iron Man villain, the Manchurian. She was
yeah.
just a good person and behind somebody else was. It's just the real villain of this series wasn't really that strong as well.
And that's a problem. And that in itself is a problem. It's not believable that like this adventure.
In her, then you're gonna need somebody really bad. You're gonna need a Voldemort behind it.
And I think Baylor was supposed to have been that person, and he fell short as well.
So short. Yep.
Yeah, he was basically Lucius Malfoy. Just like limp.
Yeah.
He was just limp.
Yeah, he came across as whiny and not strong. Like,
Mhm.
you see me as the film.
And then here's another thing. So the other little mage that he was planning the stuff with, it almost seemed like an afterthought to make his character gay. Like it didn't
Oh yeah.
it didn't make any sense. And that's not about him being gay. I just thought that his
It was
character,
a device. They used it as a device.
he wanted to take the power from Baylor because he didn't think that Baylor deserved it because he was lowborn.
That better.
But it almost to me it was more hurtful to his character to make him gay because I thought it made him weaker in that moment. And it's almost like, hey, let's see, what minority group have we not represented?
That's what it was. It's like we got to throw this in here.
Yeah, it was like,
they didn't give him. They
you're not
didn't
gonna have
give
them boycott
him
this movie.
and their relationship. You didn't make their relationship tantamount to his success or failure. Like this is someone who should have a purpose in this man's life. Like his love of this person and or the loss of him, you know what I mean, or his encouragement, you know what I mean. Just like if you think about Lady Macbeth is the catalyst in Macbeth. Like she is pushing him to do something. So either he needs to be that kind of character who is like, either driving force behind this man, or he's the character that is encouraging and or the voice of the Jiminy Cricket. You know what I'm saying? Who are you to this man? And it should be someone, and that goes to any romantic character, any romantic relationship. And I agree with you. I think they did a disservice. This was like a writer's room. Like, we need to represent, but you didn't do justice to the character. You know what I'm saying? Like Harley and Ivy love each other. Like their relationship is like, you know what I mean? It's like a wildfire and a forest fire. Like they just both crazy. You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, you enjoy watching them because their relationship is serving the story.
I would like
to serve the story.
Power from Baylor. Like, you're a lowborn. You don't know what the fuck to do with it. I'm secretly going to take this from you. Like, it's all out battle. Like, I'm going to take it, and I'm going to be the big bad in this, and I'm going to be the future big bad. I'm going to kill you off and take it, and it's going to be my power.
But then, if that's the case, then he should have been ramping up from where we saw him at the beginning, where he's just playing his position in the back, and hey, I'm no longer that. I just consult on these things or whatever. He should have been ramping up, and he by the end, when he's, when he can feel, when he sacrificed them people to get his chaos magic, he should have been nuts.
He sacrificed children. This man sacrificed two babies.
I think
By the time he did that, he should be out of his damn tree.
Well, that wasn't enough, though. That wasn't enough because he didn't care for those children.
yeah,
And so the thing said, nah, you've got to sacrifice something that means something to you. So the children, he was like, oh, I feel it, but it's not.
But yeah, I mean, it was the Gamora paradox.
Yeah. So
But that was the whole
But
thing.
that's,
Like,
but
that's the
also the
problem.
problem too. But that's the problem too. We saw the pain and what that did to Thanos, the big bad of how many movies? We saw what that did, and this dude, he didn't bend the needle. Like it just.
but he killed all the
always
soldiers.
sacrifice her, but he tried to do the alternative first. Like, let me sacrifice these kids and make it happen.
Right.
And then he knew that didn't mean anything.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, he pulled an Order 66 on him, and we get it, and it didn't work. You know what I'm saying? Okay.
It's like,
But
fuck.
then when he had to sacrifice his, you know what I'm saying, his right hand is his chick.
Yeah. The only problem
that
is I it didn't make him
should've been-
strong enough. It should have made him OP at one point, like because that is the ultimate sacrifice. And he should have been the foil that was difficult to beat because that monster was some bullshit. The Empress was some bullshit. And then you had the one guy who did make a sacrifice, so his power should have been overwhelming. And he should have been fighting with whatchamacallit, and for us to actually see a real big battle. And I just thought the battle was kind of anticlimactic because you didn't care about that monster. It looked weak. The illustrations was weak. So the one Baylor should have been the guy that was like Baylor versus what's his name, whatever his name is. They should have went head to head, and we kind of didn't get.
Here's the thing for me and The Witcher. Every monster after the Striga has failed. The Striga was the best monster and storyline in the Witcher series, and they have failed to bring a monster that has been equal to that moment, because everything that Geralt did to not even beat the Striga, to save the Striga, so he didn't have to kill her. You gave me a full-on story.
Well, they can't.
And your monster has to be big enough, though. Like that monster.
The monsters they have to have now have to be weak, because if a monster's that strong now, it would have destroyed them. I mean, it almost destroyed The Witcher in the modern day era, where they have a lot of weapons against a monster that strong. So they made a monster that strong, it'd be super OP and killed everybody for 1,200 years.
Well, no, but I mean, the Striga wasn't even like that dope. You know, I mean, she was, but it was more of like the story that was rooted within this monster. So what was this story? It's like, okay, it was more interesting is what is the creature that Baylor was talking to? You didn't give me any hints about that at all. And that's the true biggest of all the big bads.
That's what we didn't have a story for our final battle.
It was
there was
just a
no
voice.
Connection. They just kind of came out of nowhere.
It was like it was like the queen of the Borg, and you didn't even explain like how she got to be the queen of the Borg.
That's for this next prequel season. They got 1,200 cover here.
He was talking to Palpatine. He was talking to Darth Sidious, and
yeah. That's the next prequel season. They're not going to give it all.
Wait, is this an anthology? Is this an anthology?
Everything, but everything we need to believe that it can lose. We need to believe that at some point, right?
Here's the thing: the big bad monster. So you got to think about the fight at the end with Fjall. That was corny because he took out all at the beginning when the Empress enacted her plan. You had all these heads of states of all these different countries. I mean, Ellie's family, the Raven clan, ain't they like the baddest assassins in the world with blades and shit? This monster took out all the damn clans in one fell swoop, turn everybody, disintegrate everybody's ass, and then he's in a Rock'em Sock'em Robots fight at the end. What the fuck?
Right. It was like an open air amphitheater. This dragon just rolled in and killed everybody. Because I guess, I haven't seen anything that big before. But, like, you can't... I'm sorry. Somebody should have survived from her clan. And I was mad the way they took her sister out.
Yeah.
I was mad the way they took her sister out. I was like, we can't have two black girls in the same movie. But ain't that a peach of a hand?
She died. Yeah, it was horrible when they killed her.
All right, so we're gonna go ahead and re-rate this thing.
Why did her Spidey sense kick in? You a goddamn assassin. You don't know those people around bushel of apples.
Because they killed her. I thought it was cool the way they killed her.
I thought it was too. It was definitely. I mean, I knew she was gonna die. I was like, oh, she about to die. She was like, oh, we'll do this, sister. I was like, oh, she did.
That's what I
and
thought.
she was, you know.
I thought it was gonna be something bloody, and
Me too.
They did it so quick. I was like, damn, that's fucking.
Oh shit. Okay.
Just did that quick, damn. No respect for Black life whatsoever.
I mean.
Hey man, they gave us one, and she was the protagonist, and she had a baby, which is going to be the lineage that saves us all. So
all the humanity.
I'm just mad. How come Siri doesn't have like a little bit of blackness in her?
Until then I never thought about it. Like until I saw this, like she's black.
I thought about it.
So Siri's black. She's black.
No,
I mean, it's 1,200 years ago.
I don't know how. Like, right, but no, she's black, man.
Like, that makes sense.
Passing.
That
so
makes sense.
Was out,
That's makes sense. You know, she basically like out here with she got voodoo. That's okay. I understand. She Creole.
I'm saying, yeah,
she Dr. Facilier's daughter.
They out here passing, man. The Richard, but I don't know.
I know, right?
So silly.
Calanthe. See, Calanthe looked like she might have been a little something.
Singwin's son said she was first season kill off and forget. They killed her off and that was it. She was definitely.
Well, they just needed a reason to get her back involved. I mean, she was the lark. She had abandoned the whole clan. She's out here running the streets, singing. And so, how do you get her back? You kill her sister.
Yeah, she's on tour.
Running the street. Yeah, she's on tour. She Beyonce. You know what I'm saying? Trying to get her
Beyonce in the other Witcher world. It's like how we get her to leave this good, lucrative, just safe job as a singer and get her back as a warrior.
And she's a bouncer. She's a low-key singer. She doesn't even need bouncer. She's her own bouncer. Can you imagine? Like she's like handing people their ass. Like, because I'm trying to sing. I'm trying to sing up here.
No, little white people like, oh my God, you're a mess.
That stands out. I think for villains for first season due to the progression creep.
What?
Calling for villains. They had no villains.
No, the villains were weak. They
realized they couldn't make villains too strong, because then it would make sense in the Witcher's arc of story.
But it's not even about that. It's not even about they weren't even enough of an asshole.
No.
Yeah.
But it's the beginning, right? We make super dope villains from the opening scene. That means you expect super dope villains. In The Witcher.
All I'm saying is they attitude. I could have replaced the villains in this with my brother, and he'd have been a better villain. Shit.
Yeah.
You an asshole.
Like the Witchers never really had like Superman level villains. Like they don't have a dark side of villain. So we had to kind of make villains kind of like the Joker.
They just weren't cool. They just were not cool. And
we're gonna get to season 6 of The Witcher. He's gonna be fighting King Kong and Godzilla out this piece.
Listen, I won't be on the train season 6 because after season 3, I'm gonna hang up my sword.
Do we need a season 2 Blood Origin?
No, I don't.
No.
Do we want a season 2 of Blood?
Give me another animated.
Give me another animated.
What did you say, Chuck?
I don't think we needed it the first time around. I think we needed. I can handle prequel shows, but they don't have to be connected to the direct lineage of The Witcher.
I don't mind it being connected to the direct lineage of The Witcher, but this was circumstantial at best. This wasn't even connected for real, and that's probably what made it even worse.
It was the origins of the Witchers. We gave you the actual story of where they started from. It ended with, the first Witcher's about to be born. We know it, and his blood's gonna make all the Witchers.
And I enjoyed this, but I don't necessarily need to know the origin story of a Witcher.
Yeah, I don't need that. It'd be different if it was a different Witcher. You can give me a prequel, but it could be with a different Witcher. You're talking about a tribe of killer human monsters. Tons of.
Then show me Ellie's baby as a little boy slapping the shit out of a wild boar or something, like just witching out.
In our chat, we said this is not the origin for the Witchers in the source material.
Exactly.
So they just, I guess maybe they just made some shit up.
Exactly.
And you
And
know,
yeah, Henry Cavill is rolling around in his Superman space pod right now. Like, look,
well, the Harry Cavill should have got a piece of the show there. You know,
James Gunn on how what
He
most
should have become a producer.
yeah, I was like, why he wasn't a producer then? I mean, he was the star at the time, and he had enough star power he could have got on as the producer.
Yeah, he definitely did.
here's probably one of the biggest problems with this show. Did you know that the showrunner is the same showrunner who did Iron Fist?
Yeah, I did know that.
yeah.
Yeah. See right there, that's right there. It says so much.
And again, I didn't hate it, but hey, guys, we need to re-rate this thing before. Go ahead, Chuck, and then we're gonna re-rate this thing.
Next thing you know, we'll find out M. Night Shyamalan was the actual executive producer behind it all.
I'm Asian. His name is Ong.
I got you, bitches.
He got a show coming out. I think it's on FX that he's a producer.
Yeah, he got a lot of shit.
He got a lot of shows. I mean,
does
The
he?
Servant. Yeah, he's got The Servant on Apple Plus. He's got Knock at the Cabin that's supposed to be coming out.
Man, he got
That's the one with Dave Bautista. He's made a comeback in the last few years. When he did that show Devil, he made a comeback. He made a real resurgence with that. And then what was it, Glass and Split?
Dog, y'all care to forget this man took like 30 free throws and hit like 3.
Yeah, he's the Shaq of movie makers.
He can't have a comeback. Everybody.
He did miss the best alley-oop in the whole damn world. Since we're talking basketball analogies, right? He had an alley-oop to win the game. Oh, down by 1 point, he had an alley-oop, and that was it. And they would have won, and he missed it.
Y'all care to had like 5 shows already.
Wait a minute. Are you talking about Airbender?
Yeah, he had the easiest alley-oop in the game. It was like, there you go.
Listen, everybody knew by that trailer when they came out and said that kid's name was Ong. We knew we were all our ship was sunk.
It was over.
Our battleship was done.
Yeah.
And
you can't fix that in post. You can't fix that in post.
You can't fix the fact he ruined that whole movie.
Ruined it.
And Devil, he wasn't the director of. He was just the producer.
Yeah, see, that's the role he needs to stay to.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, Split was good. Don't get me wrong, Split was good. The only problem with Split is you tell me he has 23 alters and I only see 9. That's a problem. But the movie itself was really good, and James McAvoy killed that movie. But I still needed to see the other the other alters.
The Earth, The Visit, Glass, Old, Lady in the Lake.
Glass, I didn't hate Glass. I never saw Lady in the Lake.
Signs.
Well, the Village and Signs. He does.
He has a lot of misses.
We have Wayward Pines, which is a TV show. Total.
Oh, was that M. Night?
Yes, M. Night.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that was trash.
Servant was M. Night.
But Servant, I've heard is like, I mean, it's on season 3 or something like that.
Good, so I don't know.
I've heard Servant. I mean, it's got Ron Weasley in the lead.
It's M. Night Shyamalan. I don't watch it.
We're giving him too much energy. Let's bring it back.
All right. I know.
Barney, how you gonna re-rate this thing?
I'm still eating my mini meal. I'm staying.
Okay. Rakai, how you gonna re-rate it?
Yeah, my heart wants to go lower, but I think I'm gonna keep it at mini meal.
All right. It had issues, but I still enjoyed watching this show, man. Now y'all talked about it, y'all had y'all points, and they good points, but I'm still gonna give this a full meal. I enjoy this universe, and I don't necessarily need to come back to Blood Origin again, but I want to remain in this universe as long as possible, and I'm gonna give it a full meal. So I'm happy.
I hear you. I hear you. I respect you being wrong. All right.
I'm good with my decision, fam. Shock! How you gonna re-rate this?
Good one-liners.
You rate this as a mini meal, like 2 things off the dollar menu at McDonald's.
That's a snack. That's a snack. If you eating off the dollar menu at McDonald's, that's a snack.
Fry and a cheeseburger.
It's a meal, yeah.
Okay.
You get a small Coke.
I got a half sandwich
what I'm
and
gonna
a
do,
bag of
I'm not gonna
chips.
get the
So
Coke. I'm not gonna get a Coke. I'm just gonna swallow my saliva.
you got a high C.
Finish my
You got a
thought.
high C.
You gotta get something to drink, fam. You can't eat
You
it.
got a high C. You got a high
Here's,
C.
Swallow
here's
my
what y'all need,
saliva.
though.
No,
Chuck
you
came
got the
through.
you got
Here's
the you
what
got
y'all
the kids meal Coke. You got the kids meal Coke. It's not a full size. It's just enough for a sip.
Yeah, I got the sippy cup that you guys can get some water. You go fill up a little bit of Sprite because it looks like water, and you try.
Okay.
And you
Chuck-
got them Happy Meal fries that's this
Yeah,
big.
no fries is right. You got a small fry and a cheeseburger. That's a small meal.
Chuck went to McDonald's. He got a mini meal with a side of diarrhea. I see.
Why? Why? Why?
Listen,
In
McDonald's
the
get
chat, they said he got a water in a courtesy cup.
I got water in the courtesy cup. No, I got the
Got
water
water in the
cup.
courtesy
I
cup.
got the water
I love
cup.
it.
I got the
The
water
blue
cup.
cup. You got the blue cup.
And I put Sprite in it. So I got
Yeah,
the
the clear cup. The clear cup, yeah. So you put Sprite in it.
and I put
'cause it's
Sprite in it. That way nobody knows that I got.
You
And
went
you
to
said, "Can I get a
McDonald's?
courtesy cup for some water?" Because I've done this, and you put Sprite in it because you know it's clear.
Nobody knows because it's clear.
You
Hey,
went,
man,
you
don't
went to
judge me.
McDonald's in the hood. They didn't even have cups. You had to hold your hands under the thing like
Like
this.
Pookie, and I'm gonna get you sucker. Like just put in my hand,
How much one red?
right?
Okay.
Rickard,
we oughta
you got anything to say before we head out?
Oh, you did the total score again, Randy.
Same score, 3.25.
Yeah,
Everybody stayed the same.
Okay.
So it's a mini meal.
Okay.
Yeah, okay. Rickard, what you got, man? Before we head out.
Nothing much, man. This was interesting. I swear I had to, before we started talking about this, I had to look it up again. Try to remember people's names. I watched it a while ago, and it didn't hold that much interest for me to really keep it in an old Rolodex. So I was like, oh God. But the weeks we have coming up are amazing. And I know one show that we don't have on our list that I would really love to talk about at some point, especially since we've been talking about looking for stuff with some people of color. I think it's next week or the week after, National Treasure ends. Disney.
Oh, it's on there.
Almost that too. Courtney also.
Yeah, it's like on
It's on- I
episode
think we-
8
yeah.
out of 10.
I thought we took that off.
It's almost yeah.
Oh,
I thought it was supposed to be on there. I've been watching it. I have feelings.
Courtney was in pro that show. And we should do
I was what?
You were pro that show.
I am pro because I know you were against it. Chuck was against it, and I was like, I'm such a diehard National Treasure fan of the films.
I'm fine.
Yeah, me too.
What week is it supposed to end?
Next
I
week.
think in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
We got
Today-
Kaleidoscope and
it
we
was
got
definitely-
Velma. After 2 weeks, we got Kaleidoscope and Velma. Unless we want to do Velma. Well, we can talk about it. All right. Courtney, you got anything to say before we head out?
Geek out and good night.
Nice. Chuck, what about you? You got anything to say before we head out?
Dude, Sandra and Sam followed us on Twitch. So
Oh, that's what's up.
we really needed that.
Yeah.
You're
Thanks
like,
for joining the fam.
Thanks for joining us. Yeah, you're the first follower of the year. We appreciate it. Come in. He says better than Willow.
I
Now.
was going to say, he said better than Willow. Facts. There's nothing.
Did he
We
see
gotta
our?
go
Did he see
watch
our
last
Willow?
week. You gotta go back and
Exactly.
watch.
You
We
gotta go
did,
back
we
and
did
watch
Willow
it.
last week. You gotta go say Willow last week.
Watch that, John.
Yeah,
we did last
we
week.
had
I think we
feelings.
all
We
gave
had
it credit.
strong feelings.
Chuck was the only one that didn't give it a cringeworthy. That's what it was because of the virtual production. I still
Right,
remember that.
and I'm still struggling with that. I mean, I called in from Colorado because I was like, listen, I got feelings.
It was good.
How pretty his sets are. This is some bullshit.
Y'all sound like haters to me.
Listen,
That virtual production was popping.
It just, I just can't get that one out my head. I was like, really?
virtual production.
That's what brought it up? Really?
Exactly.
Oh, it was.
They had one lake, and you were okay. That saved it. That one lake.
There was a lot of
The
good.
Shimmering Sea was so pretty.
It was
Okay.
See, it was pretty. Trying to shame me and my professionalism of doing virtual production. And sometimes the
No
spectacle.
one's trying to shame you. You were entitled to your
Last week you were
opinion.
giving out Oscars
I
for
apologize.
virtual
I
production.
apologize.
Mhm.
You was giving out the Oscars last week in the virtual production.
It was,
Ooh.
He was giving out the technical Oscars.
Yeah,
y'all,
yeah.
y'all sound
All
like
the awards
haters.
not seen on TV.
Y'all sound like a bunch of haters. Just seeping through your bones.
Okay, man. Oh, God. All right. Shouts out to Digital Click for doing all of our marketing and promotion material. That's awesome. I just want to say, share us, right? Subscribe to us, the Geekish Network. We're about people of color. We got people in front of the camera. We got people behind the camera. We got people busting their ass to create great content for people who look like you. So please support us, like us, share us, blow us up so we can continue doing all these fascinating and great things. Next week, we're doing Kaleidoscope. This should be interesting. And I know we're going to ask everybody, what order did you watch it in? Because I don't know if you all know, it was based on your algorithm on your Netflix cube that it was in different order for everybody who watched it. So I'm interested to see what order you watched it in, what we thought about it. So everybody, same geek time, same geek channel. We'll talk to you all later. Peace.
Good
You
night.
finished, but Willow had the best virtual production of all time.
Such a hater.